Today we're going to do a very cool chemical reaction experiment with Coke and milk. It is a reaction of the phosphoric acid in the Coke to the milk. Milk contains a protein casein. With this acid, the protein binds that causes it to curdle. You will have the same effect when adding milk to anything acidic like lemons, vinegars, and grapefruits, which we have done recently with the vinegar. Phosphoric acid molecules attach to the milk, giving them more density, and they separate while the remaining liquid that makes up the milk in Coca-Cola now become liquid floats up top. The solid matter is basically milk that has been curdled by the addition of more acidic soda. So we will start this experiment in just a second, and we will follow along with it throughout the class period. Now we're going ahead and start the second step. We've removed the label off the Coke so we can really see the experiment take place. So the first step is going to be we're going to pour the milk into the Coke very carefully. Fill it up all the way to the top. Now go ahead and put the lid back on both. Put it on tight. Now we're going to turn the Coke back and forth a few times, not shaking, just turn it back and forth over. All the way. Good. Now go ahead and set it down, and we're going to let it react, and we're going to start a timer now. So we will check back in about 15 minutes and let you know how it's going. We're going to go ahead and check in a little sooner because we have a lot of action going on. This has only been 4 minutes. And you can see that we are getting some separation in here already. And it's starting to completely separate. But I'm going to go ahead and shake it up a few times just to keep the movement in there and keeping the molecules moving around. I think that will help. So now we're going to reset. You can see the curdling of the milk in there. So we'll check back in a few minutes and see how it looks at that time. So now we're going to go ahead and check in. It's been 14 minutes and we are looking at the Coke now, and we see further separation of the molecules, and we see some at the top and some is settling at the bottom. But there are 4 signs of a chemical change. The first is unexpected color change. We did not see that here. The second is the formation of a gas. When we felt the pressure on the bottle, it is very strong and very tight, so the pressure is high. So that is definitely a sign of a chemical reaction. The third one is a change in energy, which is temperature or light. We did not get a change in temperature or light. And the fourth one is the formation of a precipitate. And so you can absolutely see that there is a solid created from 2 different liquids, the milk and the Coke, and we have solid precipitates in there. And so we will check back in about 5 minutes and see how everything continues to develop. So now we're sitting at almost 24 minutes, 23 and a half minutes. And we're put a Coke beside it just so you can kind of see where we started and where we are right now. And so what we're going to do now is go ahead and give it a shake just a little bit to turn it back and forth to rotate the particles. Try to mix it up, get the molecules moving again. And we can see that top is pretty solid. It's a solid mass. So there, that's nice and good and shaken up. So we can see the solid particles, the precipitates all throughout the Coke. And we will check in a few minutes to see how it settles out. So now we're at 32 minutes and we're going to check in. And we have seen a sudden change, which is pretty interesting, that we see the precipitates falling lower, so they're definitely getting saturated. And with the saturation, their mass is going up. So we can see that they are lowering into the Coke. And we still have a film at the top of the substance, and that's more of a foam type solid. But towards the bottom, it's starting to get heavier. So we'll check in about 5-10 minutes again and see where we're at. So now we're sitting at almost 38 minutes. We're at 37, 33. And we can definitely see that there are 3 different layers. And so the phosphoric acid molecules have attached to the milk, giving them more density. And they separate out while the remaining liquid that makes up the milk and the Coca-Cola now become lighter and float on top. So that's where we're getting the 3 different layers. So with the milk, part of the milk weight going down, it takes away from the remaining liquid, and that causes it to go up. So there's our 3 layers there. So we're gonna keep this sitting here for a little while and check back in and see if there's any further developments. Now we're sitting at a little bit over an hour, and we can see the continued separation of it. And so we do definitely have the 3 layers, and they have completely separated. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something about chemical reactions.